Live back with another wind farming stream. Today I'm going to be playing as Nurgle, trying to get some practice in on the soul grinder. Of course, I feel like the mass infantry style is generally the way you want to go with Nurgle. That's basically just a million plague bearers followed by a million spawn and then a couple exalteds. But today we're gonna try value trading as Nurgle. I don't think it's a terrible style. And depending on what my faction or what my enemy's faction is, that should allow us to get some pretty fun builds going now. Right off the bat, we'll just, I don't know, I'll load up with 2 soul grinders. If you want to value trade as Nurgle, that means you almost always want a flying lord with streams of corruption. Of course, we'll take the healing abilities too. Arcane Conduit is great. And yeah, we'll just sort of wait to see what he decides to go for. Now, real quick, there was some news today. For those of you who have not seen the new map for Immortal Empires, it's absolutely massive. Very, very exciting. I don't personally have much to say. I'm not a big lore guy by any means, but yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Excited to try it out when it's finally available to us. But yeah, here's the plan for today. I need to trade up very well. I think that means Khorne's spawn are probably going to be a fairly big issue here. And in general, your Plague Bearers of Nurgle will just do way worse against Khorne than usual. In fact, I would almost just cut them entirely, opting instead, if you want to value trade, for toads. Toads can be quite great. The cultists are okay, but not amazing. Of course, we're going to be stream of corruptioning. Even Forsaken can do decently on account of them trading very well into the dogs. And I believe this is more or less the build that I'm looking for. Just a bunch of Forsaken. We'll even try out the Pox Riders. They can actually be pretty decent. And I won't even really go for that many Nurglings, as the toads more or less have enough capture weight. Let's go ahead and grab one more spawn and try out the first game. But how's it going, people? Let's take a look at chat. I see people talking about what's it? Soul Grinder tier list. I guess the Soul Grinder tier list. It depends on the faction, but the Khorne and Tzeentch soul grinders are bottom tier. Probably the Tzeentch one is the lowest, followed by Khorne. After that, I guess the Nurgle and Slaanesh are sort of tied for top. They're both alright. Yeah, Slaanesh, like, they're so different, right? It's like, can you do a unit tier list that has artillery and infantry? It's sort of weird, because just how differently they perform. Nice. I see the Twitch chat. We got like a viewer. Awesome. Yeah, I'll need to stream a bit more to build up a viewership on Twitch, but we'll get there eventually. I'm pretty excited to be streaming on Twitch again. It's been a long time. Do full range as Nurgle? That is not exactly possible. We'll see what we can do, but that's not exactly a thing. Unfortunately. But we will be using the Plague Bearers quite a bit to get us good value. Fardizzle, hello. The one and only Fardizzle in the Twitch chat. Peasant horsemen are technically soul grinders, because we saw them ruin your life yesterday. They did grind the soul, I will not argue. Now, starting off in this battle, we are seeing some, stream of corruption time. We're seeing some, what, are these Minotaurs? They are Minotaurs of Khorne, the madman. So I believe our artillery shots won't actually do much damage here. Let's take a quick look. Shots away. And, you know, it gets us like 72 value. That's generally not too good. This build's more designed to deal with the masses of infantry that you will often see against Khorne. But this is actually sort of good for us. I'm perfectly fine facing up against Minotaurs. Of course, he's much more resistant to stream of corruption, which is good for my opponent, but I believe they have a hard time trading into my Exalted Plague Bearers. Especially if I can get a couple volleys off. We'll shoot over the heads of the Forsaken, and that should give us very high damage with these guys. Now, the big question, too, is this guy actually looking to pick a fight with me? Does he want to pick a fight with me? It looks like he's gunning it, man. He's going straight for the throat, sending in all of his cavalry, some skull crushers of Khorne over here. Interesting. Along with the Minotaurs. He's sending in his Lord too, and we'll see if I can actually win this fight. It's going to be a little bit awkward, but of course we do have the shots from my Exalted Plague Bearers. They're going to be quite brutal against the Minotaurs. We'll summon in some Forsaken too, since they can sort of trade decently, and we'll see how this goes. Now, unfortunately, I do botch my volley over there with these Plague Bearers. That's just fine with me. We're gonna heal up, get the Forsaken in there, and then I guess try and charge his Lord down. This is gonna be a little bit awkward, as he is actually trading really well into us in the early stages of this battle. It's going about even. I do have healing, which does help. I don't have any targets for the Stream of Corruption, so I'm just gonna throw it down here. Getting decent damage. It does okay against cavalry, and he's gonna be pulling away. So this is I think this actually ended up going in my favor, especially since the Soul Grinders are both still alive. They can sort of charge and chase these guys, and I think we have a pretty nice start to the battle. Unfortunately, these units are slightly suboptimal for Khorne, although it did let him engage very quickly. They didn't really do him too many favors, sadly. That's going to be a nice early lead. Plague Bearers don't really care for friendly fire. Yeah, they'll friendly fire pretty hard if you're not careful, but they will shoot over the heads of your infantry quite well, so there is that. Here we go. This should be a pretty nice volley for me. I guess we'll try out the Pox Riders here. This is a fairly underused unit on my part, but I feel like they're actually fairly strong. As for the Soul Grinders, I will sort of send them into melee, just because they do have quite decent damage, and some cycle charging on these Skull Crushers should actually do quite a bit. And if we take a look at the situation of things, I'd say we've gone a decent amount ahead. Now the big question is whether or not the Pox Riders will do well. You've seen these guys on my Nurgle cavalry only stream. Definitely not the most formidable unit in the world, but they will sort of get the job done. And hopefully they can help peel for my Lord here, as he is actually quite packed in here. There we go. Your units will pass through enemy friendly units easier than enemy ones, so if you ever want to escape, that's the way you want to do it. Sending in cavalry to sort of just give a quick assist. So nice. I think we're doing quite well. We're sort of leading now in value, which is very good since we have a ton of value in just because of my healing. So it should be a pretty nice win from here. Oh, no one, come on, you don't know the frogs are stinky. That's just rude. Now, how much did they get on the charge? Only 280 so far, but not the worst in the world. Of course, Stream of Corruption is a Nurgle staple versus Infantry of Khorne. It's gonna melt these guys. There we go. Basically just deleted immediately. He's still sending units my way, and I can also start getting some shots here. You can see the Soul Grinders do great if they can get flanking shots on cavalry, or any blob, really. And this is sort of how you want to micro them to make them as effective as possible. That actually did a lot of damage to those poor Skull Crushers. So I think we've more or less won this game. I guess we'll summon one Forsaken, send him over here, since he'll be able to trade into the very mobile Flesh Hounds of my enemy. We'll finish off his Herald, and then we can just start capturing points. My opponent making the fatal mistake of capturing a little bit too early. Lords on... Yeah, Lords on smaller mounts do... they can get stuck a lot. It's just a thing about Lords on those sort of horse-type mounts. You want them to basically always have some sort of infantry or cavalry support. Otherwise, they'll basically never be able to disengage. Also, very important tech here, always make sure that you blob up for your heals. It's basically free value. So anytime you don't do that, it's like you're taking a free extra few hundred points of damage from just sort of not being as efficient. It's very, very important to get those heals. Imagine crushing a Nurgle skull, you'd never get your hands clean. Oh my gosh, it's true. It's true. Oh man, yeah. It's never coming off, man. You'll also notice I didn't really go for the capture points. Nurgle is actually one of the factions that will capture points extremely quickly. And in general, if you really want to steal a point in a minute, Nurgle can do it. So definitely a faction that can sort of just sit back and relax and worry about trading better if the times call for it. Enticity, have you already seen the Immortal Empires map? I have. It's very exciting. Yeah, suspiciously empty Inden Koresh on the map. That is Inden Koresh in the corner, right? Because, yeah, that's pretty hype. That's pretty hype. It means that I guess if Creative Assembly feels like they want to add that as DLCs, it shouldn't be that hard since they're actually on the map now. Pretty exciting. Sea lanes are great. You guys know how much I enjoy not boxing in my own campaigns, so that'll be pretty fun. And yeah, I think it's just pretty hype. Pretty hype overall. Heals in general aren't, heals aren't capped to a maximum number of units, but there is a heal cap. In general, though, yeah, heals are pretty bonkers strong when it comes to Nurgle, as they just you can more or less heal cap your entire army if you do it just right, which is essentially, it basically means you have like what? You have an extra like 9,000 extra gold over your opponent, maybe even more. It's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. Looking forward to the first DLC. Yeah, DLC is going to be great. Soon enough, guys. Soon enough, we'll have them. Nice, so there we go. This is basically the end of his army. I think he doesn't really have too much to really stop me here. Most of his mass is basically gone. He's resummoning in the Minotaurs, but I don't think they'll trade especially well versus my Exalted Plague Bearers. Not to mention, I feel like the Pox Riders should trade decently well into them too. Let's see, what are these guys' stats? 30, 32, 36. They're not like the best monstrous cavalry in the world, but they will sort of get the job done. They're fairly cheap too, which is nice. So I'll sort of take it. There we go, and that's going to be the first win of the day. Nice. Pretty chill. Pretty chill. Let's take a look at his poor cavalry. Now, these guys got a good amount of damage. 2,600. I don't even know what they killed. They only got 23 kills. I guess they killed off all of my spawn, which is quite nice, but in the end they weren't super crazy. Like, I think if we take a look at the spawn, they nearly paid for themselves even in unoptimal circumstances. So pretty fun build from my opponent, but we just sort of traded a bit better. Yeah, look at that. Exalted Plague Bearer with 2,000 value. The other one, 1,400 value. Those death heads, man. The death heads will really carry if you can get those volleys off. And the Soul Grinders did quite well too. So not a bad first game. How's it going? You just got them in campaign as DP. Who's DP? Whatever. Anyways, let's load up Nurgle again. We're going to be going very similar styles, although I might go for a Great Unclean one. We'll see. But in general, we'll mostly be going for the Soul Grinders. Hey, Will YT1. Hello. Demon Prince. Ah, I see. What's it? So you guys are talking about Soul Grinders? I see. What's better than a hot tub stream? Oh my gosh, Mushu. If I ever... Oh, hey, it's Hadries. Look at that. Yeah, hot tub streams. I wish I could be famous enough to do a hot tub stream. Although I feel like if I did that today, Creative Assembly would probably kick me out of the partner program. Maybe they wouldn't. Though I assume most people are not very interested in that. Now, Hadri's is obviously a very strong competitive player. We'll see what build he decides to go for. It's going to be the Ogre Kingdom. So this is sort of a situation where the Soul Grinders aren't as useful. I'll put them in reserves, though, since... Yeah, I'll take one Soul Grinder. This is like the worst matchup for them. So I'll sort of go off it a little bit. We're an eye in the north, and in general against the Ogres, you want to go Mass Infantry. So that means, you know, you go for the Plague Bearers, you go for the more Plague Bearers. Never-ending Plague Bearers, essentially. Some Spawn. I think... is this a matchup where... I think this is a matchup where I do want to take Cultists. There we go. Of course, with them summons. Nice. I'll take another one. And these guys are just great in general. And here we go. Nice. This will just sort of round out the build. Now, as much as I wish I could go a Soul Grinder this game, Hadri's is a menace. I don't want to get run over by him. But we will take the Soul Grinder if we start pulling up a lead. I think it might be able to do well in some of the blob fights. And if he's playing super duper passively, like let's say he goes Mass Noblars, it will actually kill Noblars quite quickly. So I'm sort of excited for that. Here we go. I will be favoring Plague Bearers over Forsaken. These guys are just squishier. They'll die faster to Ogre ranged. So I don't want to spam them too hard. And we can sort of just top it off with a couple Plague Toads, really. Now, Plague Toads sort of die faster than Nurglings. I think I will actually go for Nurglings instead of Plague Toads this time around, as these guys are just great. Both of them will get stopped by Ogre Mass anyway, so I might as well go for the cheaper guys. And I think we more or less have a build on our hands. Of course, this guy is going to be taken... let's see. This guy wants Fleshy Abundance, faux show. And I would love to get the Arcane Conduit, though it's not as important as you might think. We can sort of make do without... Yeah, or I can get rid of the Stream of Corruption. There we go. Get rid of the Stream of Corruption and then... Oh, math. How do I... Here we go. I can do this. So I can... Here we go. Do this. And put this guy in there. And then Arcane Conduit. Nice. There we go. We have a build on our hands. Only took us forever. Is multiplayer on Ultra size? Now it is. It's on Ultra. Do people still play Warhammer 2 multiplayer? Yes. Yes, they do. Though not too many nowadays, I assume. Ren saying, guess this wind farm will be a real grind. Wow. Honestly, it's not even a crazy dad joke. It's just, it just got me off guard. Amazing. Oh, that's true. It does cause terror versus ogres. The thing is, most of what we're doing in this build is that we're mostly just weathering the storm of their ranged. So I don't really need to terror out them. Like, Nurgle grinds take so long. Terror is actually much less of a factor than usual. Though still useful. I would still want it. Whew, yeah. This is the first Ogre matchup in a while. Everyone's been playing Cathay, and I don't know why. I have no idea. I thought I made a point about Cathay being weak. Alright, now, here's the plan. Here's the plan. We're going to hang back for a very long amount of time in this match. I have no reason to advance forwards for a while. This group will sort of camp here. They will... Oh, yeah, I can draw again. I can draw... This group will camp over in this area. They'll hide here if it's artillery. And then they can sort of split off. So one of them will swing around here. The other can swing down the middle. And my reinforcements can pull on in. This means that I have as much pressure going onto the middle as possible. And unless he has, you know... There's basically no way he can trade up in melee in that circumstance. This matchup's quite favored for Nurgle, but it is Hadri's. I would expect him to bring some sort of shenanigans to even the playing field. Have you ever tried beating back the Chaos Hordes with your chin? I have no idea where you're even going with that, mate. But here we go. So he has a lot of range units. Oh, maybe I should have had my Stream of Corruption. It's not actually super cost efficient for Noblars, but it's great because it gets them to rout very quickly. Now I just sort of don't have very many tools to rout them off, and there's a chance that they'll be able to do a lot of damage. Now as far as army, We're seeing some lead belchers, some more lead belchers, and it's going to be a pretty ranged heavy build. This means I can push him off the point just very aggressively. Of course, I don't have the Stream of Corruption, sadly, but I guess we do have a Soul Grinder that I can summon over here real quick if I so want. So that's quite exciting. Of course, he has a Hunter too, which is a little bit scary, but my Spawn are there to provide mass to pin him down. And we're just gonna play extremely, extremely passively. I have a lot of time here. Logic and reason are not required when dealing with chaos. I guess so. I guess so. Ooh, Slaanesh hot tub wind farming. That's pretty hype. It's pretty hype. Keep removing clothes until YouTube kicks me off. They'll do it quite quickly. They do have some pretty nice algorithms to end you at a moment's notice. Now this is very interesting now. So Hadri's is playing very aggressively. I will say in general, I probably want to start the fighting earlier, since there's a chance that he can sort of block me up on my points. Of course, he has a mostly lead belcher army, so I don't have to start fighting immediately by any means, as it's easier to push his army back, but I do have to be a bit careful. Give Hadri's a biz. I'll do my best. Here we go, another unit of melee ogres. But here's the thing. I don't have Stream of Corruption, but I do have Fleshy Abundance. Fleshy Abundance is going to be amazing versus him, because essentially I'll just be healing all of the damage that he deals. Fleshy Abundance is massive when it comes to damage. And you know what? With the Noblars, do I? No, not yet. I don't need to route them off just yet. I'm in no rush. Looks like he will go for an early capture, so I'll move out at about the 3-minute mark just to lock down this point. That should be fairly easy, I would say. And then I just get ready to summon down the middle. So let's start scooting on up. I'll go ahead and let's see. I guess normal Plague Bearers is the way to go. We'll just sort of plop them down over here. His Hunter's going to be getting a few free Javelin hits, but that's totally fine. And of course, I would also want to get me Spawn of Nurgle. Yeah, Spawn are always just an A-tier unit. Never want to not get Spawn for sure. He's going to push up a little bit here, though at times will be scary for him once I pull in with my masses of infantry. And the grind shall begin in a second. Now, he doesn't have that many lead belchers, which means he shouldn't be doing too much damage to me. Our delayed engagement has saved me a good amount of damage taken. We'll be able to pull onto this middle point fairly quickly, but I'm not in any rush by any means. Yeah, we can take our sweet time here. Just sort of to negate as much damage as possible. I will go for the middle point capture and stay very far back to be out of range of the lead belchers. Very nice. Looks like, oh, he's not even going for this middle point. I think that's a bit of a misplay on Hadri's part. He definitely wants to secure that, but I guess he's going for the comeback mechanic. Now this is not going for the comeback mechanic against Nurgle is not a recommended play by any means. But I'm interested to see what he decides to go for. Now, right off the bat, he's going to be trading very viciously against my Spawn. I'm going to pull them back since they are fairly valuable assets. He's going to go for the middle point here now. And at about this point is when I want to capture it anyway, so that's a good timing. There we go. He might take the point initially, but it's totally fine. And now I can start pulling on in. So I'll pull some Spawn into this side. Of course, he has a couple Noblar Trappers. That's fine. I can move forwards with my Plague Bearers in the middle. This point's definitely going for me. And yeah, I think we're fairly set. I can get the first mega heal of the day. This is only going to hit 3 units, but still a huge value for me. Especially since these guys are taking so much damage from those lead belchers. I want to make sure that all of their entities are alive. We'll summon another unit of Plague Bearers, and now I can sort of start pooling into the middle here. It's going to be a pretty rough fight for Hadri's. I doubt he'll really be able to contest this super well without taking some massive damage. I'm gonna send in my my cultists in there too, as they can really do a lot of, give a lot of help. And to sort of ensure that they get there safely, I want my spawn to block up that stone horn. There we go. Looks like he's a little bit distracted. The middle point is more than well enough secured. And I'm going to have some exalted plague bearers here in a second to start punishing this engagement. Nice. So I think we're fairly well set. So I have all the tools I need to win this fight. So I'm sort of totally fine there. There we go. Nice. We're going to heal up in the middle as much as possible too. And then as soon as I can, I want to get some summons down to rear charge these here ogres. In the middle, he's all ranged. Ranged units essentially have no capture weight, so there's not a single worry in the world there. And nice. Second fleshy abundance. Everything here is going to be basically indestructible. I do miss one of my spawn. That's about a 500 gold misplay, unfortunately, but we're still doing okay. And there we go. The middle point shall be mine, Ogres. You can't stop the Nurgle tide as tons of his units start routing off. And now we are set. So, question is now, do I send Nurglings onto the third point? The answer is no. The Nurglings will trade down and generally not get too much value. Instead, I want units that will trade very highly in value on these further points. That means more plague bearers over here. And basically shutting down all of his capture weight. He's going to keep his lead belchers alive, but that doesn't matter because they can't capture. And just like that, we have the middle point now. I can even continue my push onto this area, but really there's no need for it. It's much better if I push down this lane, since we've basically locked Hadri's down from ever moving down there. Nice. I think we did it. I think we did it, guys. Pretty clean win. Enticity, is it ever a good idea to be the first person onto the points in your opinion? Yes. If you are ranged and you want to trade up, then you generally want to be the first guy to be on the points. If you wait forever, the problem is that eventually someone's just going to have such a large army, it's impossible to kill all of their units. So like the games where people just wait 7 minutes before capturing, generally both players are misplaying there. It is actually better to get on the points. In the majority of situations, really. Generally, your timing is waiting for the 4-minute mark. That's sort of the best time to show up. So nice, it's going pretty well over here. These cultists are great at running these guys down. I can even summon some plague bearers behind, and I can even make some of my guys indestructible over here. I think we have just enough. Let's see. 28. I have 4 winds of magic left. Okay, so I can only normal fleshy abundance, sadly. That's fine, though. I'll cast it on these exalteds when the time comes. But yeah, right now we're just sort of seeing the ogres. The ogres are not having a fun time, actually. They're not having a fun time at all trying to push onto my points here. He is, it looks like he is going to just barely get enough guys on the point to start capturing. But to sort of shut that down in its tracks, I can summon a single Nurgling to just ensure that he's never going to take that. Over here in the distance, I'm about to collapse in on the backsides of his lead belcher, so he does have to react to that, and I don't think he'll ever steal this point from me. Of course, the Stonehorn will trade quite well into my infantry, but I don't think that's enough. I'll get another heal. And as you can see, even though the sort of trading is going, it looks like it might be really bad for me. I assure you, I'm getting a lot of value purely off of my heals here. My heals have been generating basically endless value. Yeah, no, the heals have been huge, because if you actually look at the armies, I would be confident that if the game kept going on, I would actually be able to kill off everything here. Such is my confidence in clearing his army. In the meantime, let's also grab some spawn, since the Nurglings can only hold on for so long. They're only here for... I only summon the Nurglings if I'm at risk of losing my points. Otherwise, I'm going to hold on to them. And another unit of Plague Bearers. This game is close enough where I can't really meme it up with the... Soul Grinder just yet. Let's go ahead and use our last Fleshy Abundance to heal up these Exalteds. So they'll basically never be dying here, and look at that. There's no capture weight on the point. It's simply too much. We use each and every single healing spell, so there's the end of that. But our healing accounts for like 5,000 gold value, possibly even more. I'll need to make a video on the specifics sometime, but definitely an insane amount of healing. And that's gonna be it. Pretty easy Nurgle win, I gotta say. Anybody who says Nurgle is weak has never played Nurgle correctly before. The terrifying if you can do it right. Normal Fleshy Abundance, yeah. Just a casual Fleshy Abundance, don't worry about it. And here we go. You're gonna see he's gonna be piling onto the point now. This is something that you'll often see players do to try and steal the point. But because I have so many units here, he's actually trading pretty badly in an effort to try and get onto the point. As you can see, he's getting sort of chased by these range units over here. And it's not going to be helping him out too much. It's not really doing him any favors fighting here. And as long as I'm also holding the point too, it means that he's just basically not trading up at all in this situation. And here we go. Not even close to getting that point captured. I'm feeling very, very confident here. Let's grab another spawn. We'll move him over here. And then we can sort of, yeah, just make sure that he never takes the points. Nurgle. Nurgle, guys. The master of never losing points. Though I think he might be able to steal this area. It really depends on how quickly these here trappers actually route off. That's sort of one of the reasons why I have spawn there. But soon enough, he will be in triple cap territory. Then we'll be just fine. Let's go ahead and slow these guys down just to ensure that we're not losing this capture point anytime soon. I have my lord sort of just following these guys along. He will get pretty close to capturing it. We'll see. He's almost there. But will it be fast enough? I don't think so. Yeah, no, he's in triple cap territory now. And we're still trading up by fairly evenly. So I don't think it's too much of a problem. This is why you do want Stream of Corruption, to sort of deal with these situations, but it's totally fine. I'm trading up here too with all of my units, so I think we're totally fine. It's too bad we couldn't squeeze in the Soul Grinder though in this game. The Soul Grinder would have been jokes, but pretty good match. Pretty good match. Basically, the only way he would win now is if he stole this middle point, but I don't think there's really a chance since I have spawn here, and they'll be able to sort of force his units to be on this point to actually deal with it. But we'll sort of see. There's a chance that he manages to take this middle area. Though with this heal, I guess his chances are dwindling now. There we go. Everything's trying to kill the spawn. They're not going to die quickly at all. In fact, they'll probably start capturing this area soon too. How does Nurgle fare in land battles? Terribly. Absolutely terribly. You'll see that we nearly, like, towards the end of the game, we're starting to trade down. And simple matter of fact is that Nurgle will not trade very effectively over these sort of longer grinds. He sort of relies on the battle ending. Otherwise, he will eventually get ground down towards the late game. People are less incentivized to just walk into melee against him too. So overall, it's not the best. It's not the best situation for Nurgle in land battles, sadly. Yeah, I think he might be one of the worst factions too. Unless he's against like purely melee-centric guys. Hey, Bala, hello. Happy to have you here. Having a pretty nice stream today. Some pretty clean Nurgle wins. A few Soul Grinder shenanigans, though this game I didn't really put him in. The Soul Grinder ended up actually being a little bit of a liability here, simply because... Oh, nice, we killed his lord. Yeah, the Soul Grinder was a little bit of a liability because it just wasn't very... It was never summoned, and I would have rather had infantry for most of the battle here, since they would do much better stealing these points. You can see here, in an effort to steal the point, he traded so badly, we actually retook it from him. And we will actually retake this before the battle is over. That's just devastating for poor Hadries here. And that's the strength of Nurgle. Nurgle is really strong in a melee fight. And because of the capture points, he can force a melee fight quite easily. Look at that. We retake the point. And he's even starting to trade pretty badly now because of all of that melee pooling in. Brutal. I do lose my Lord. It doesn't matter in the slightest. He's not really needed anymore. And we're going to take our second win. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, Nurgle is a beast, guys. Nurgle is a menace. Absolute menace. Clean Nurgle wins. Ah, yes. Have you seen the great clean one, guys? So cursed. Pretty good. Now, all of his units are going to be trading. Look at that, the lead belchers. They did very well in terms of trading. Of course, they take quite a while to actually get that value. But still, pretty hilarious how well they traded up. But if you consider the healing that my Lord did, he healed up many thousands of gold. It was not even close. So he offset the damage dealt by a huge amount. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Let's see if we can get more wins. Hopefully with Soul Grinders. Basically against anybody that isn't a, you know, a grand tournament player, we'll take more Soul Grinders in the starting army. Oh, yeah, I wish Nurgle was a little bit faster in campaign. Yeah, Nurgle's so slow. Yeah, that game he didn't really go that hard on the comeback mechanic. Possibly he saw the writing on the wall. Against Nurgle, though, I think every faction wants to try and triple cap Nurgle early on. Oh, it's Outer Region. Nice. That's another tournament player. I'll see if I can sneak in a Soul Grinder, though. Yeah, everybody wants to triple cap Nurgle early on. You don't want him to... you don't want him to sort of build up his army because it starts becoming impossible to actually clear him off. Now, it's going to be a Khorne take from my opponent's side. Of course, I could go for Kugath, but he's actually quite slow. Crossing the Sea of Claws, pretty good map. And I think in this case, I'm going to go for a Great Unclean One. Great Unclean One of Nurgle. Quite strong. We're going to take the heals, primarily using that. Sometimes some Streams of Corruption, though. Of course, Pestilent Decay is great for that big ol'... It's great for the heals. Oh, no, not the heals, the Mortis engine. It's great for clearing out blobs. And sort of generally, I want to be trading up here. This is a hard thing to do against a faction like Khorne. But I don't think it's absolutely impossible. Let's see. I'll go, yeah, primarily Forsaken. Like I said, Plague Bearers are not the best traders here. And let's see. What can I fit here? There we go. Plague Bearer Spawn. Very nice. The double grinders just to sort of get some early poking in. Spawn are good in general. These guys are great against any amount of Bloodletters. If he misplays, he'll let us slam some toads into him. And I'll take one Beast of Nurgle as sort of just a contingency single entity in case he goes really hard on that. It has infantry capture weight too, so it's quite good there. And nice. We have a semi-mobile army that trades up. The plan is to try trading up into Khorne here as well as we can. And then sort of use our larger army to put the pressure on. Hey, Deadly Bunnies! Happy to have you in the Twitch chat. The farming's going great. We just beat Hadries against his Ogres. Now we're up against Outer Region's Khorne. I think we might lose this one, but we'll see. It's a pretty favored matchup for Khorne, because he's one of the only factions that trades up into Nurgle. If there isn't a Great Unclean One. If there is, it's pretty rough. Outer Region in chat too. Can you play ranked yet? Or they haven't added them? This is ranked multiplayer. I don't know exactly what you mean by that. Kilos saying, yeah, that's right. A Twitch stream. Indeed. We're on Twitch now. I'm restreaming. So we're also streaming on YouTube too. Twitch is thankfully letting us become Twitch affiliates, and they're letting us be Twitch affiliates and streaming on YouTube at the same time, so that makes life way easier. It means that there's basically no downside for restreaming. So always great. Now he's going to be playing quite defensively. He's bought Scarbrand. Scarbrand will lose against this big boy as long as he has any amount of support, so I'm not too terrified here. And so do I just want to... I want to mostly hang out on one area and then push between them. I think bouncing between these two areas is probably my safest bet, as it's pretty telegraphed when Khorne wants to move through this area to capture here. And if I do get a big blob fight with my Great Unclean One here, he'll be able to Mortis Engine away, so I think we're sort of okay here. Yeah, I just have to be very careful that I'm taking favored fights, and that means sort of squeezing every single last drop of value out of my units. Are there ranks? Technically, yes. Though, I don't think there's actual proper ranked matchmaking, if that's what you're looking for. Now, how much do I respect Outer Region's dodging capability? Okay, you can see the moment I turn towards him, he dodges a little bit. So that means we're not going to waste ammunition on him. I'm going to get real close to these exalted bloodletters. There we go. And then I'm going to fire away. And then my guys are going to derp around a little bit. There we go. Now they're going to fire. Nice. And it's going to do a little bit of damage. About 47 gold. Not a huge amount of damage, but I'll take it. Now, he also has Spawn. Very meta. I think the only off-meta thing here is maybe Scarbrand. I prefer the Herald, since he is a bit cheaper. You get a bit more capture weight that way, but still not too bad. And for me, I'll mostly just be, I don't know, I guess starting to spam Forsaken. They're not going to hold super long, but they should be just fine. We'll also keep getting a couple volleys here with the Soul Grinders. Though, man oh man, are they derping out hard. And I just want to capture this first point as soon as possible. Get a few more shots off into the distance. And at some point, I want to start rotating towards the middle. I want to capture this before he gets to about 2,500 victory tickets. Around the 3,000 mark is optimal. And if I can manage that, we'll be just fine. Another shot here. Now he's going to dodge a little bit. So I don't need to get the full salvo off. And what I can do, I can sort of push up with my Great Unclean One a little bit. Since I don't think he really wants to take a fight here. That would be fairly bad for Khorne, I would say. And that'll let me get in range for a pretty nifty artillery barrage on these Exalteds. Here we go. I don't think this is easily dodgeable. Let's see. Nice. Pretty good value. All the way up to 600. And this is sort of one of the strong suits of the Soul Grinders. They can put in a walloping if you're not careful. Any amount of blobbing up of your infantry is just great for them. Oh, and he's going to rotate. Okay. Pretty good. Pretty good. So he's going all in for this middle point here. I'll be capturing this area, and then I can push through the middle. It's a bit too risky. I don't want to get sandwiched over here, so I won't be going that direction. And I can sort of just get into position and poke with the Soul Grinders. Keep my Lord nice up front and center. And we should be just fine. Now, there are some Exalted Bloodletters here. It's good if I decide to... It's good for me if I can get some toads on them. But the thing is, some reactionary dogs will be able to counter that very easily. So I'm not super keen on that. Instead, I'd rather just, you know, summon a few guys and deal with this. Now, he's going to be bouncing around. He wants to sort of threaten me and try and make it sort of threaten like this point getting captured. If I'm... Yeah, if I sort of evacuate it with my Great Unclean One. But at some point, I'm going to have enough sort of spawn support that I'm not especially worried about him being there. There we go. It looks like he's opting to take this fight instead. I no longer really need my Great Unclean One here, as I do have sort of just a ton of units already. I don't think he's going to steal that point super quickly, although the spawn of Khorne are frighteningly close to this capture area. So let's just push in with these guys. We'll pull back with I guess my Great Unclean One. I have 3 guys here, so I should be able to steal the middle. And then my Lord can sort of help out this area. I think he should be able to do that quite well. Another unit of spawn to secure this fight. And I think we should be able to steal the middle. It looks like he doesn't even really want to take this fight. And the gambit for my opponent might not have paid off too well. Yeah, look at that. He's going to be trying to pull back over here, but I'm already on the capture point. And I would say this is a fairly good start for me already. As if I can steal this point, that would be amazing for me. There we go. His lords and heroes are moving on in. I'm not at risk of losing this point still. I think I can even put my spawn in the transition zone. Pretty nice. Nice breath attack from him. But it does kill the spawn, and that means I can start moving on into this very important area. Now, here's the thing. I have to make sure he never steals this point, because it'll be quite hard to take it back. But I do have the center, and we are trading up rather significantly here. My Great and Clean One's essentially just shadowing these guys. He's going to make a mass summon over here. This means I probably want a quick reaction of toads. It's mostly capture warhounds, which is not the scariest thing in the world. And actually quite favorable for me. I'm pretty happy to see capture warhounds. Over here. Nice. I do get a pretty nice engagement over here. Huge volley from the Death Heads. Amazing volley from the Death Heads. And despite being able to start pulling in units over here, I'm not especially worried about that. Yeah, I'm not worried in the slightest. I think we're fine. These toads are going to show up in a second. And now I can, I guess, start reinforcing this area. He's going to get some summons down. They'll be able to probably chunk down my poor Plague Bearers rather quickly. But if my Soul Grinders can kill off his what's it? If they can kill off his infantry, then there shouldn't be too much of an issue. Nice, and the cavalry's arrived. That means my Lord can finally bounce back over here. And he definitely wants to get a big ol' overcast fecundity as soon as possible. To make sure that this point is secured, we'll slow down the dogs. Very nice. We'll group up with each and every single one of my units. Overcast the fecundity. And then fire into the blob with the Soul Grinders. There we go. Even a single volley here would be huge, because it slows down his capture weight by so much. And can I do it? I'm not entirely sure yet. We'll see. In the meantime, the Great and Clean One's just gonna keep slowly advancing. He'll do decently against the Flesh Hounds, and there we go. That's a huge AoE. It looks like my opponent's not going to be stealing this point anytime soon, although the dogs are actually starting to get the capture weight on. But look at the value trading. We're trading great here. This area specifically has gone very well for me. He might be able to take back the point, though, unfortunately. Oh, it looks like he will. He will. He grinds down my units a little bit too fast here. Though he still has a lot of doggos. There is a little bit of an issue in that I have not too many guys here that are great at killing single entities. I think Scarbrand specifically could be a bit of a menace. So we'll see how that goes. But with the dogs starting to get whittled down, I'm feeling a little bit safer here. Yeah, some Chaos Warriors show up. They're not the biggest problem in the world. And I have a decent amount of time to retake this point. So no big issue there. Yeah, look at that. We're even starting to steal it back from them now. I'll do another Overcast Fecundity to pick those guys up. And I guess we just sort of continue pounding these dogs. This area is more or less secured. I don't have to worry about that no more. And the Soul Grinder can start looking at punishing these guys. In the meantime, I want to get Streams of Corruption on these Chaos Warriors as soon as possible. We'll summon some toads. Send them down into this here valley. Capturing is still going in the favor of me, which is great, though it will shift once these guys show up, and then it'll shift once again when my toads show up, so it's totally fine. And the Soul Grinder is going to be my main tool to kill off these Chaos Spawn. It's really good for that. Nice. He's pulling in a lot of guys into this fight here. So as long as I can keep trading up, we're fine. And given that we have healing, I think we are trading up. Nice. Couple more toads coming on in. And I think the Warhound Gambit was a little bit too early from Outer Region. It was a nice play. But the problem is that in the end, they sort of just got out-traded. And even though they stole the point, it doesn't really matter if you can't hold the point. Another big Stream of Corruption is going to do great here. Nice breath attack from Scarbrand. Pretty good, but look at that. We're vastly... We have a huge lead on that capture point now. There's no way that's going to ever go down. Sweet. Now I can start thinking about my spawn. Spawn are going to be ready to sort of help out whichever area they might be needed in. As it looks like, yeah, there we go. I called it. He summons in some dogs over there. They're going to slowly take that point, but I don't think they're a huge threat. These Flesh Hounds did really well against my Lord, though, which was actually a pretty nice trade for Outer Region. But still, I think we're totally fine. And I'm gonna wait until I can blob up a little bit harder on the point so I can get a better heal. So my reserves are totally out of reserves. That's fine though. The spawn are gonna be here. Those dogs, sadly, won't really be able to capture fast enough as I still have fairly high HP infantry there. And I can just start making my life hard for my opponent. I'm gonna summon toads. I'm gonna move them over here. This will force a flesh hound summon from him. And given that I'm trading up, he doesn't really have the bandwidth to get flesh hounds over there at the same time right now. I think that's gonna be pretty rough for him. Nice. And even another fun thing I can do. The Soul Grinder is my most mobile unit. I can use this bad boy to assist in this fight over here. Quite easily. His artillery shots should be able to pound this location. It'll be able to soften up the hounds, and I think it'll generally be able to help trade. In the middle, we're doing really well for ourselves. Of course, the Beast of Nurgle's gonna go down to Scarbrand, sadly. There we go. We did force a Flesh Hound summon from him. Though, honestly, I don't know how I feel about this trade. It might be slightly suboptimal. In fact, it would have been much better had I sent my toads here instead, but you know, what can you do? In the meantime, the Soul Grinder's just going to continue marching forwards. He has brought Scarbrand to try and assist, but it looks like we're totally fine. He desummons his cultists. I guess he wants them back later, but I don't think he'll steal this point anytime soon. Very nice. Man, is Restream messaging in chat for you guys, or is it just me? If it's just me, it's fine, but if it's also messaging in chat, I'll probably want to wait to disable that. Here we go, more toads. More toads on the point. They'll do fine. Toads trade well enough into dogs where they're sort of good enough for the job. I'll summon some Forsaken since they can get there pretty quickly too. And then these toads can start making the transition into this bottom point. Between toads and soul grinders, you're pretty well set. And sort of, I think we just sort of did a few better maneuvers than my opponent here. He essentially just couldn't really steal the points, and he spent a little bit too much money trying to take them when we had enough forces to sort of shove them off. Now it's not over just yet. It's not over just yet. A Scarbrand is killing the Soul Grinder here, but we have routed off one of the Warhounds because of terror. Thank goodness for that Soul Grinder doing very well for itself. Over here, he has to sacrifice a whole bunch of dogs to try and clear the point, and it's just suffering. It's just suffering. You should never let Nurgle take a value lead against you, or this will happen. I'm gonna send these guys up here to pressure that other capture point. That should distract them and sort of make sure that our late game is nice and safe here. I have a slow too in case he brings in any summons, so we're totally fine. If I was more worried, I would be force pathing my units onto here, but his dogs just don't have enough capture weight. Or do they? Or do they? Maybe I should be force pathing. Let's go ahead and grab my toads and bring them in here. As soon as one of them gets on the point, we'll be totally fine. And there we go. The toads, guys, the toads. My timing is impeccable. I was a little bit worried, so I sent the toads in, and they got there just in time to hold the point. So we're totally fine. Let's go ahead and throw down a heal, increase that capture weight a little bit more, since it is starting to look pretty close. And nice, we're totally good. Oh, man. Pretty fun game, pretty fun game. I think he played a nice Khorne game, but he was a little bit too timid taking the points. And his dog play, it was nice, but I think he summoned them too early, sadly. Very good game, though. If we take a look at the Soul Grinders, they did pretty well for themselves. I think as a mobile tool and as a way to clear out very expensive, very important infantry from my opponent. They're a magnificent tool for that. Of course, a great unclean one. A huge threat for Khorne. He basically has to avoid it the whole time. And that really gave us some good sort of battlefield control. Good stuff. Good stuff. Look at that one Forsaken. What did he do? 2,500 gold value? What did he kill? Did they just kill like tides and tides of dogs or something? I have no idea. Nice. Good game. Good game. Third win of the day. Nurgle, guys. Nurgle's a menace. Nurgle's a menace. And honestly, the Soul Grinders are not bad either. Minotaurs are now meta. If only. If only. Minotaurs are terrible, man. Yeah, they gotta buff up Minotaurs by a lot to make them work. Spawn are just way too much better. Are we going to see a different soul grinder? Not today. Today's a Nurgle specific soul grinder stream. I put it in the title, so we're sort of sticking with that for now. Does anyone game crash in campaign? Probably a ton of people. Yeah, Warhammer's not the most stable game in the world, unfortunately. But I don't know if it's like a huge issue for everyone, nor do I know the fix. Forsaken are slightly better at trading up versus Khorne than Plague Bearers, simply because Forsaken can pick and choose their fights a bit better. But generally, against every other faction, you want Plague Bearers. These guys are just great. Are Khorne Warriors better than Bloodletters versus... Are Khorne Warriors... Oh, Khorne Warriors are bad because they died to Stream of Corruption, sadly. Yeah, Stream of Corruption's a menace to Khorne Warriors. Look at that, 100% AP. And you can boost it to 48. That means that you're dealing half of their HP in damage. Half of their HP. It's brutal, man. Absolutely brutal, these guys. Alright, what are we seeing? What are we seeing for his faction? Bloated Corpse wind farming? I will do it when Immortal Empires comes out. You have my word. But I don't know how much of a wind farm it will be, because I'm pretty sure Vampire Coast won't actually be that strong. Now he's going to be playing as Tzeentch. Tzeentch, of course, very strong faction against Nurgle, as he can kill my infantry extremely easily. Mostly what we're going to have to do here, we're going to have to do a very strong rush against his army. That means I need summons. And alternatively, there's another way to sort of do it, where you don't have to rush right away. You can sort of make things work with soul grinders. Look at this. Taking a few soul grinders here. They'll do fairly nice against Nurgle. I mean, against Tzeentch. As they will be able to poke away at his forces early on and maybe get ourselves a favorable engagement. Whew. Still, though, it's going to be a little bit sketchy, but I'm wondering if I can trade up into a Nurgle army. There's a chance. There's actually a pretty decent non-zero chance that we can do that. My lord, I forgot. He's going to stay on foot and hiding in the trees, as it's a little bit too scary going up against his ranged blue fire spam. So hiding in the trees is going to keep him nice and safe. And for my core army, I'm thinking... anything that spends my money well. You know what? We'll go for the Festering Stooges just because they're fun. And my core army is going to be mostly Forsaken. A couple units of Spawn. A couple units of Plague Toads. We're more or less set after that, right? Yeah, something like this feels quite nice. I'm going to skimp out on the Plague Bearers a little bit because they do trade quite badly into Tzeentch. Instead, maybe go for some Nurglings instead. Maybe one Plague Bearer to be fancy. Maybe one Fury. Furies can do okay here. One of the only matchups where I would even consider taking Furies. And nice. The name of the game is to essentially force him into a bad fight by poking him down with these soul grinders. They have a lot of armor, so they'll be pretty hard to snipe. And I think we might be able to get a nice fight going. Necrofex Colossus wind farming. That's pretty good. Will Skaven Slaves be good for capture weight? They'll sort of suffer the same problems that Noblars do. They're good in an emergency, but they're not actually good. Not a good unit to spam 24/7 because they'll generally trade down. So if you summon them too early, it'll be bad. But late game Skaven Slaves will be quite nice just because of how fast they are. Menace from below. So summons don't actually stall capture points. Yeah, summons they'll sort of just, they'll hang around, but they have no capture weight. They're good for sort of stalling your opponent from getting to the point though, which is nice. And we'll probably see a little bit of that on the Skaven side. The problem is though, I don't really know if Skaven can hold a point for very long. Though they will, like sort of Tzeentch versus Nurgle mentality, they can kill your army so quickly that it doesn't really matter if they can't hold a point. And that might be how Skaven win it. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. But here we go. For this matchup, we're seeing Nurgle versus Tzeentch. It's going to be 2 soul grinders against his 11 units. Tzeentch generally favored in this matchup because he can kill my units so quickly, but we'll see if we can outvalue trade him in this match. These Soul Grinders will do great as artillery pieces, but I think once the actual fight gets started, I'm going to send them into melee since they have a decent charge bonus, they have decent melee stats, and very high armor, which means that they can disrupt his range units very effectively. Enticity, how much more respect do you have for Kairos after the 2-time stock stream? Immense respect. Kairos is such a strong legendary lord in campaign. I can't believe I did not play him before. He has so much magic damage. So much. It's basically infinite. Now, in this case, my opponent's going to go for the air dominant strategy. He's going to do some pretty nice dodging. Funnily enough, we do actually clip a few Furies on the way forwards. Perhaps I can hit the Furies again. Let's make it look like we're attacking the blues. Target fire the Furies. There we go. Gonna get a few kills here, I think. Honestly, they missed very hard, sadly. So, I think against Tzeentch, he's dodging pretty well here. I'm sensing he's a pretty proficient player. So, I'm mostly just gonna use these guys as melee dudes towards later stages of the game, and we'll just play it safe for now. Now, he did take Doom Knights, which is a sign of noobery, I will say. Doom Knights are definitely not the strongest unit in the world. But we'll see. We'll see. Against Nurgle. Nurgle doesn't have a lot of armor. There's a chance that they'll do well. But oh no. Oh no. He takes a huge volley from my Exalted Plague Bearers. And he may take another. Perhaps too focused on dealing with the units in the forest. He's just tanking it. No. Not like this, my dude. You did so well at dodging the artillery shots. And now he's going to lose his entire Doom Knight population. I will say this is non-optimal play, I'll say. Fairly non-optimal. He realizes it at the last second. Will I get another volley off? I think I will. But he might dodge it. Oh, and he's gonna go for a big old vortex spell. Let's see how much I can dodge while we're in the forest. Now these guys have decent mass, but they're gonna get staggered. Pretty nice spell from my opponent, though. Those Doom Knights taking so much damage, it's rough. That is not a great trade. Honestly, not even that much damage, really, with the spell. He takes about a quarter HP off of these guys, but they're still relatively healthy. He's losing ammo in the forest, too, and I think we have a pretty nice lead here. He was AFK? Oh, yeah, I guess. I guess if he went AFK, that would do it. That would do it. Now, he's going to summon in a few more guys. Will he go for the triple cap? We'll see. I think we're slightly more favored as time goes on. So I'm sort of hoping that he goes for a slower capture. Just a full-on AFK, I guess so. He just left his PC right on top of Exalted Plague Bearers. Thankfully, he showed up in time before they fully died, but that actually brought our value trading up to even, which is super, super rough for him, I must say. Now, here's the plan. We're going to summon Nurglings on the flank, collapse in here. Summon Furies on the flank, collapse in too. We'll push these guys through the center, and then we can get some spawn to push in there too. I'm under no pressure to attack early. He's hitting my cultists. They have regen, so not a problem. And I think we should have a very nice fight on our hands. Blame the peasant horsemen clogging up his internet. It's true. Those darned peasant horsemen. They never stop. Now, we're gonna do a few more shenanigans while we wait. Just sort of seeing if he's on point or AFK again. I'm gonna move forwards and see if I can drain some ammunition off these blues here. Come on, give me the shots. Give me the shots. Yes! We got him to waste a volley. That's a valuable volley from his blues. Blue horrors have very little ammunition, and if they do lose all of it, that's a huge loss for them. And there we go. His ammo's turned off, which means he's gonna have to re-enable it later on, and that's gonna be a slight hindrance on his micro. Small gains, guys, small gains. Let's go ahead and poke him too with the soul grinders, just be as annoying as humanly possible before we actually get into the main fight. Now, I think primarily I want to be shooting at his Forsaken here. Forsaken are ripe pickings for my soul grinders. There we go. Pretty decent volley, pretty decent volley. We're going to hide back in the forest as soon as we can. Nice. And this is sort of, this makes things a little bit exciting here. We get some nice early game skirmish going on. Here we go, another pretty big volley. though the trees block me up a little bit, but I think it's time. It's about time we go in for the big push. So, here's the plan. We're gonna spread out our spawn. We're gonna move up with the cultists first. Then we're gonna charge in with these guys. Soulgrinder's gonna go on the flank. We're gonna summon our 2 Nurglings that I talked about earlier. Then we're gonna go for the Fury summons. These guys are gonna be great for shutting down his range units, and I'm hoping to just more or less overwhelm him here. One of these cultists will deal with his poor old flamethrowers. We'll be having a pretty hard time doing too much there. Summon to shut down one unit, Soul Grinders for the other. It's almost a perfect recipe here. And although the Furies do get caught up in the melee, I think they'll still be able to shut down quite a bit. I think my Fury misplay there was a little bit rough, but still totally just fine. We're collapsing in hard on his lines, and I think this should be a pretty nice trade for us. Though we'll see. We shall see. My lord over here is a little bit getting beat up a tiny bit. As for these Plague Bearers, they're doing decent damage to these guys. Let's get a big heal on my Soul Grinder, since I think Soul Grinder is a little bit important here. I do unfortunately lose all my Furies, which is the one very bad trade that I took, and he will be getting a nice AoE on my Forsaken. So overall, we're sort of seeing trades back and forth here. Though I do like that I have Toads on the battlefield now, and one of the problems with Tzeentch is that he doesn't have a lot of capture weight. So even if my opponent starts trading up here, I'm not especially worried. Nice bombardment on my spawn. That's pretty good for him here. But we'll see if I can sort of keep pushing through his lines. I have some nice heals coming up in a second. More Toads as he's summoning in guys that are quite susceptible to Toads. He gets a pretty big volley, but nothing especially terrifying on my lines here. Toads will sort of help in this fight against the Doom Knights. And if I can get a nice heal on this blob here, I think I have a pretty nice lead for myself. Because, yeah, he just sort of has a whole bunch of, no capture weight, really. Here we go, nice. Gonna drop that heal. Gonna grab these Toads to steal this far point. I don't think he'll retake that anytime soon. Then I can start summoning in Forsaken to really push the issue here. Yeah, and I think we'll be just fine. The Soul Grinders have done well. We've traded up almost across the board. And I just have to make sure that I actually steal these points now. Because if you take a look at the actual capturing, he has a pretty decent lead in terms of capture value. But I'm about to steal 2 points, and that's going to buy me a good amount of time here. Here we go, Cultist. He's chasing those guys quite nicely. And I believe if I summon some spawn and send them on this point, his Fury shouldn't be able to clear that too easily. Nice, middle point is captured, flank point is secured, and I have about, I have a good, like, 5 minutes to steal this point, which is a very comfortable amount of time. Huge heal on this blob. That is immense. That is going to really swing things in my favor here. Nice, another heal on this blob. Sweet. Oh, yes, yeah, we're totally fine here. I can even, I'm gonna summon my over here to help those guys out a little bit, and then... yeah, just start collapsing in with much more cost-efficient units on these far points. The Soul Grinder especially is going to do really well here. B-Wall saying, hey, Enticity, I've been meaning to get into the Total War Warhammer 3 multiplayer scene. And I'm just wondering, what are some good tips on factions to focus on? Generally, focus on melee factions. Yeah, melee guys will do very well in the meta today. Simply because they can push and capture points very aggressively. They're very, very good at that. And we're sort of going to be seeing this today as I get my Nurgle games in. One more heal over here. He's blocking me up on this point quite well, I would say. There's a chance that we don't win this, but it really depends on how well my guys actually fare. I'm not worried about these far points at all. I think we'll be fine on that front. And as long as I can get one more unit to clip this area, we'll be just fine. He's suiciding his Furies now, which is a very good sign for me. And I have 3 minutes to steal this point, which is totally fine. We're getting a huge amount of comeback points too. Helps me a ton, unfortunately, which, like, honestly, I think we didn't really need the comeback points here, but I'll take it. We'll use whatever mechanics are available to us, and with a huge collapse now on this middle point, we're gonna have a triple cap on my opponent in no time. Though a very close game, good sir. Very close game, Leonard. He did quite well. But we're barely gonna get here in time. Do I slow down these Forsaken? I don't think I even need to. I think I can do all right without the slow on them. He might pull on into the middle. That's fine. I can just sort of send more units that way. And he's realizing that this point is gone too. Oh my gosh. My goodness. Very, very fun game. Let's get another Fury summon in. These guys are just, yeah, they're just sort of fighting there. We have the triple cap, and we have a huge value lead. I don't really see much he can do to come back, but it looks like he still has a bit of gusto on him. So we'll continue the fight. Don't forget Slaanesh is a melee faction. Oh yeah, my bad, my bad. Don't play Slaanesh. Play as Khorne and wait until the 4-minute mark before you start trading any value. This is the general rough meta that you want to do for every battle. Because if you're trading early, there's a chance that you'll run out of units, and basically this will happen. So my opponent traded a little bit too aggressively here early on, and that just made him run out of units. And despite him having a pretty good fight, I'm just sort of coming out on top in value now. That's sort of the rough idea. But overall, there's not too much you really have to worry about, Dom. Oh yeah, and also copy builds. Copy builds like no tomorrow, because builds are sort of the easiest way to get an early leg up over your opponents. And sort of copying like this Nurgle playstyle, very good. Though I would cut the soul grinders, since just general infantry will do much better. But yeah, that's basically it. That's more or less the tips that I got for you. If you also want to really get good at multiplayer, join a Discord. That will do wonders for you. As Discords is generally where most of the meta is being made when it comes to multiplayer. Just because you have a bunch of very high level people practicing with each other. Focusing purely on ladder won't really get you too far. In general. You can sort of get there, but like if you want to get really good, get on a Discord. It's great. Slaanesh's life. Slaanesh's life. Just, they're not very strong. You know? Nothing wrong with Slaanesh. They just have hard times winning games is all. But yeah, those are my general tips. My general tips for getting into the scene. Man, this battle went pretty well for me. Like, there's no chance he's ever gonna retake any of these points. Look at the value trading. He's only getting a little bit more value than us. But we're gonna win the game in about 2 minutes. Slaanesh's love. My bad. My bad. Oh, the memes. The memes in chat are endless and plentiful. So, yeah, in this case, yeah, we won it. I'm in no rush. We'll just sort of chill with chat today. Did they implement the second of art shots going through trees? I'm not sure. I think your shots do go through trees, since my Exalted Plague Bearers did so much damage to his Doom Knights. So I would hazard to guess that the answer is yes, though I'm not entirely sure. Here we go, normal cast of Fleshy Abundance. We'll just throw it on the Plague Bearers, because it's quite efficient. Oh no, these are Forsaken. Yeah, still though, still quite good. And yeah, he has nothing. He has nothing, and this is why the comeback mechanic's a little bit brutal. We got a few too many extra resources here. Really, the fighting should be pretty even, but it's too bad. That's too bad. He's just sort of getting shoved back onto his points now. Long-time listener. Question. Tehenuin. Tehenuin is, you know, he's okay. He runs into the okay problem of multiplayer, where if you're slightly suboptimal, you're never going to see use. And in this case, Mazdamundi is essentially just a better Tehenuin. Mazdamundi will do better almost basically all the time. And it's just rough. It's just rough. Yeah, unless he gets a huge price reduction, you'll never see him. One of the many reasons why multiplayer is 10% players compared to single player. Yeah, there's many reasons why people don't play multiplayer. But I think just the allure of Warhammer really is just a grand campaign. I think multiplayer will never really be successful. Like, never widely successful until, just never really. That's just not what people play these games for. Unfortunately. But, you know, we do still have a nice, very strong community, so that's also very fun. Nice, so that's our 4th win as Nurgle. We had 2 very rough matchups for Nurgle, but we managed to scrape it by. The Soul Grinders didn't get full value this game, but they were amazing disruption tools. Honestly, I would almost run them as a disruption tool purely, but an extra 2 units of Forsaken is usually a bit better. If you take a look at the Furies, 100 kills, that's insane. That's bonkers. I don't know how that's possible, but sure. And for my poor opponent, yeah, that's Doom Knights. Despite taking so much damage, they still did decently well for themselves. But Nurgle's just too good at capturing points. He'll take them real fast. Hey, Edwig, hello. Happy to have you here. Hope you're enjoying the stream. We're having a very fun time. Alex Karen, on the Twitch. Look at that. What's good, man? First time seeing me on Twitch. Yeah, we're on Twitch and YouTube, so there's that to enjoy. Oh man, it's getting hot in my room, man. Today's pretty hot. You know, I did have a shower thought the other day. In that, if I keep talking about the weather, if someone actually catalogs every single weather instance that I go over, they will eventually be able to pinpoint more or less where I live. Which isn't the biggest deal. I'm not like a huge caster or anything. Oh, it's Dactor. Yeah, I'm not like a huge personality or anything, but it's sort of weird that the possibility is there. People can just know where I live. The information is out there. Mildly terrifying, I must say. Dactor going for the Grand Cathay. Fairly strong on Arnheim, I like it. And in this case, I'm just going to go for the double Soul Grinder Kugath playstyle. This is a very fun playstyle to do on Arnheim specifically because you get the high ground advantage. And this should let me trade up pretty well. Now, Kugath is not the fastest trader in the world. In fact, Kugath's pretty bad. You know, as much as I love Kugath, I don't want to lose against my own clanmate. We're going to go with this guy instead, Herald of Nurgle. Fleshy Abundance and Stream, classic kit. This is very, very, very meta for him. And we're just going to secure the high ground dominance. Excuse me. All right. So a build like this should do fine. Double, let's see, what am I doing? Yeah, double Exalted. There we go. We'll put the Aurora down on the bottom in case it goes melee Cathay by any chance. Then we'll max out on the Spawn and Plague Bearers, as that is definitely the most meta option. A couple Toads, too, are great. And do I go for the Furies? Yes, I'm remembering now. Cathay is one of the few factions where you very much so want Furies against them. As tools, not Toads, as tools to deal with artillery pieces. Since if they go really hard on the artillery and crane gunners and you don't have Furies to deal with them, your life's gonna suck. So here's the build today. We have very high trading capabilities, and then we have a huge melee grind fest to tear them apart. Let's see how it goes. We'll ready up just to show that we're ready, but if it goes down below 30 seconds, we'll give them a bit more time. Would Skaven Blenders work to capture points? Well, it all depends on what their capture weight is. If they have cavalry capture weight, probably not. You scrub all the videos. I must vanish from the internet. With these many wins, you need to try a meme build before it ends. I'll try a meme build before it ends for sure. Oh my gosh, and we got a donation. Super chat. Let's see. Oh, I think that's was that a Twitch donation? I don't know. It's not showing up in my chat feed for YouTube or on my like my streaming setup. That's weird. But thank you very much. Thank you for the super chat. What was that? Was that 15 bits? I don't know. I thought I wasn't even an affiliate. So, was that on YouTube? Or no, it's not even related to the stream. Did someone super chat one of my videos? Is that what happened? My goodness. Insanity. All right, well, that's pretty fun. That's pretty fun. Now, here we go. We're going to dominate this high ground here. Worst case scenario, he parks some artillery there. But even so, if he does, we can just move on the low ground and we'll be fine. You can see it. It was on YouTube. Oh, that means my thing's not showing up. It's not showing the important stuff. That's weird. That's weird. Now I gotta open up the thing to to figure it out. Dang it, Restream. You failed me. You failed me, Restream. Let's see here. YouTube. Enticity. That's weird. Yeah, Restream should be showing that. I don't know why. Let's see. If I go to the stream, there's not much that's going to be happening here. The 15 of a currency, I have no idea what that is. Saying, how do you think bloated corpses will fare in domination? I think they'll be okay. But the thing is, because single entities are so prevalent, I don't think it'll really see too much use, sadly. So probably we won't see it too much. Alright, let's go ahead and start peppering down his grand cannons. The soul grinders are great for this. There we go. And we'll just sort of move back and then just keep poking away. This will be pretty nice trades for us. I think Stream of Corruption, it almost one-shots the grand cannons. This is something to test. Let's dodge with these bad boys. And yeah, I just want to get a mass summoning of infantry on the low ground and they'll basically crush it. Now, here we go. Grand Cannons. Do they survive Streams of Corruption? My theory? No. And in this case, it's correct. The answer is no. They're going to die to 3 Streams of Corruption, so I'm not too worried about them. It's going to get a little bit of poke damage here at the start, but that's totally fine. And the Soul Grinders are just going to poke away at his infantry. Preferably, they could kill off the Grand Cannons, but I don't know if that's possible. Alex saying, this is the first time you caught one of my multiplayer streams too. Hey, awesome. Good to hear, man. Good to hear. Happy to have you around. Alright, can we kill off the Grand Cannon? I want to get this bad boy routed off as soon as possible, but he's just going to split up instead. I think that's a good play. Soul Grinders just going to scoot on up a little bit. It's going to get some nice sort of wind spells going. But totally fine. And as long as I keep this guy nice and safe, I should be good. There we go. There's another breath attack. Deletes the poor cannon crew. But they actually don't all die. Because most of the HP is actually on the cannons. So the leadership, against all odds, actually holds. That's hilarious. That's actually going to be a little bit of a problem. Because I won't be able to kill all of them. But we'll see. I guess I'll just keep poking with the Soul Grinders for now. Honestly, I prefer the mass infantry style here. But this is still pretty fun. Soon enough, I'll be able to rush him down. And then I can sort of toad spam him and make sure that he never ever manages to keep these points alive. Okay, big question though. Can I actually kill off this one cannon? I'm already committed. I swear it's not sunk cost fallacy. I do actually need to kill this bad boy. Let's get another Stream of Corruption down there. Here we go. He's firing more shots at my Soul Grinders. Thankfully, we dodge it. Jeez Louise, these cannon crews. They're just never gonna die. That's so bad. Oh my gosh. Well, that's unfortunate. I'm losing a lot of my potential Stream of Corruption value here. Because you want your Streams of Corruption to sort of wear down his infantry so he's not actually capturing points. Oh, I guess I can summon Furies, right? Go for a Fury summon to run him down. I think that's sort of my best plan here. Here we go, a couple more artillery shots. They'll do great. He's getting some nice AoE on my guys. I'm not too worried. We're even trading pretty evenly here. These Furies should rout off the cannons pretty easily. And then we just sort of wait. We have a lot of time here before we really need to do anything. He's gonna get a nice sort of early position here, but nothing too problematic. Look at this, that Herald. He's juking for his life. He's juking like a madman. He takes one cannonball to the face. Quite painful. Quite painful, I must say. I can't believe I'm going to sacrifice a Fury just to kill a cannon here. Maybe I wait. Maybe I wait a little bit to make sure that he's a bit more stressed out with other stuff first. But, yeah, we'll just sort of... We'll just keep chilling. The Soul Grinders can poke away, too, which is nice. And then if I can wear these guys down, he'll have no more capture weight. And then we'll be totally fine. Though, one thing I should probably do is, I should probably start summoning a couple units so I can spread them out thin. There we go. Nice. Big old Stream of Corruption on those guys. Amazing. Gets another nice breath attack, which is good. But, yeah, as soon as we push up, I really doubt he's going to be able to... Oh, and he desummons those guys. Pretty good strat, considering how often Cathay runs out of units here. Pretty good, pretty good. The question is whether or not he can actually hold this point. And I would guess probably not. Still, though, we'll see. We'll see. Those cannons are starting to fire onto the high ground, though, which is a pain. They're getting nice value. We're still trading up, though. So I'm not especially worried. They're going to run out of ammo, too, before the end of the battle. And I still have a good amount of time, so I'm not too worried. Oh, no. No, I wasted it. I wasted a stream of corruption with the double mouse click. Very common misclick. Happens when you have lag. That's unfortunate. But here we go. Here we go. We only have a little bit more time before... Oh, fire at will is off. Whoopsies. That's a misplay. That's a misplay and a half. If I have anything to say about it. But yeah, the plan is to go for this point, this middle point first, and then push down. He can reinforce the middle point faster. And then when I push down here, it's going to be pretty difficult for him. He's very, very widely spread out, which is to my advantage. And I should just be able to plow through most of his lines. Now, I don't have any cultists. Cultists actually would have done me pretty good here. Unfortunately, I opted for the soul grinders instead, but I think that's okay. Yes, Celestial Dragon Guard here. That's totally okay. Oh, and the cannons are in range of these guys. Well, anyways, I think we're more or less set to move out now. We're more or less set to move out now. I sort of botched the early game with how much damage I took early on. That's a tiny bit rough, but it's totally fine. We can sort of begin the death march now. And you'll notice he's lacking on melee infantry quite badly here. These guys are going to have to be desummoned, which is going to really hurt them. As it'll mean he basically doesn't have any guys left. Unit of toads to sneak their way onto this point. He does have a dragon guard there, so I do have to be a little bit careful. But I can just sort of start pooling in. The soul grinders especially will be great as a melee tool to really run them down. And if I can get those guys in, I think we'll be just fine. Here we go. The Furies are now routing off his artillery pieces. That's very good. I can get a big old heal on these guys. And I doubt he'll have enough firepower to really shake me off. But it really depends. Really depends here on how this initial fight plays out. I will say, I played this sort of badly, sadly. Here we go. He pulls back those guys a little bit. That's good. And he gets another pretty devastating AoE on me, which I'm not a huge fan of. But I will get the soul grinders in the fight. That's good. That's good. We have some toads in here too, causing some disruption. I have my exalteds moving on in. I can heal these bad boys. There we go. And soon enough, we will collapse in on the point. Although not without great losses, I will say. He, Dactor with those cannons, especially. They did a lot of damage to me. Thankfully, I finally routed them off. That's sort of the highest DPS Cathay tool off the field now. I can start spamming out spawn, and I can finally worry about just collapsing in on this middle area. In time, though, which is great. We will, it looks like we will be able to secure that. That's very good. I'm going to get another big stream of corruption on these here crane gunners. Actually, you know what? I'm going to throw it on this infantry blob instead. Focusing on melee infantry is the better way to go, because it's going to ruin his capture weight. Very nice. Furies are doing great. The one matchup where I really do want Furies. And I can, here we go, summon some Plague Bearers to start making their way down here. Very good. Very good. A little bit sketchy. A little bit sketchy, I must say. He's going to move on to this point. I don't think he's going to capture it anytime soon. So I'm not actually that worried about that. I can throw down a heal on these guys. Yeah, and I can just bring a single soul grinder there. And that should more or less shut down any prospects he has on that front. Though, capture weights are actually getting a little bit close here. At this point, I'm having a little bit too much extra money. And not enough units actually dying, which is a little bit of a problem. Here we go. And it sort of depends on how quickly I can steal this point now. So, let's just start pooling in the units over there. If I can keep a double cap on them, we're fine. If not, though, it's sort of... it gets a little bit sketchy. Some Furies are gonna... emergency Furies are gonna come in here to help clear these guys out. Nice. Nice. They can charge into those Jade Lancers. Very good. I have this far point being dealt with too. There are a couple Jade Lancers there too, though, so obviously we have to be a little bit wary. But I think we're fine. I think we're totally fine. Yeah, because I have a double cap on him now. I don't think he'll really capture this soon enough, but we'll see. I do sort of need some toads here, but yeah, look at that. The Cathay problem. I think he will actually take that point though, so it's not over yet. He might win this. Though I do feel like I misplayed this rather heavily, sadly. Here we go. Let's get a breath attack to clear out that infantry. Want them routed off as soon as possible. Charge those peasants in the back. Very nice. Yeah, he takes the point. Okay, we're actually in a... We're having a little bit of fear here. Dactyr with the point holds. He's going to be able to potentially win this by victory tickets. Now, it's not over for us just yet, but this middle point isn't going super well for us. I do have some toads moving on in here, but they're a little bit too slow. Come on. Oh, this point got captured tiny bit too slowly. Dang it. No. No, come on. Soul Grinder gonna move on there. Here we go. Toads are on the point. Soul Grinder has stalled those guys out. And the middle point, or this far point, is going very much in my favor now. That's very good. Nice. And it really depends on whether or not these Celestial Dragon Guard actually make it. They're trying to push through, but my toads are really forcing the issue. Come on. I think I just need to overcast and clear out his infantry here. This point's getting stolen a little bit too slowly, I will say. But yeah, finally things have stabilized there a little bit. And now it depends on whether or not we win here. I have a single unit of spawn and that's it. Dactyr doesn't have too much else either. But we have retaken this point, which means I'm down to the minute mark on actually winning this match. It all comes down to this and how well this fight goes. So all hands on deck, I guess. Healing is in. Soul Grinder is providing terror, which is going to be nice. But look at that. Dactyr's gonna barely pull through. Oh man, that was close. That was very close. But I don't really see me taking this unless I guess if I can rout off the Celestial Dragon Guard, maybe. I'll bring in my Furies to try and rout these guys, but it's gonna be very tight. It's gonna be very, very tight. Come on, my infantry. My infantry, get in there. No. Come on, spawn. Come on, my poor spawn, get in there. Oh, and he wins it. He wins it. Dactyr wins against the Nurgle. Cathay OP. Really, though, the big misplays are these Soul Grinders. I really don't feel the Soul Grinders here. Though he did play very well. I should have summoned Furies way earlier to kill the cannons. I made a lot of misplays by taking too much damage. But we totally could have won that easily had I had a bit better game sense. Nice play, though. Nice play, though. GG. Well played. First loss of the day. I guess we're memeing less today. I gotta play a bit harder to get these wins. Yeah, Cathay's OP, guys. Obviously, Cathay's OP. They've done it. They've done it. They beat Nurgle. Domination mode's pretty fun, yeah. Fardizzle. I would say I enjoy domination mode. Especially because it doesn't need rules management. Oh my gosh, they were so close. That was so close. We totally could have won it. I guess because we were against a clanmate, I should have gone the single Soul Grinder. The 2 was a bit of a meme. But yeah, it was well played. It was well played. All right, let's see what do we got. We got a housewife, pie housewife with some stars at the beginning. All right. I don't know if that's just censoring. That may just be censoring, but we'll just call him housewife. We'll go ahead and ready up and see if we can get another win. Can we do it, guys? Can we do it? You're measuring units in Stream of Corruption. Yo, the first 3 streams of Corruption on that cannon were so bad. I thought it would go so much better, but it was just terrible. Oh, and look at this. We're up against Tzeentch, so this should be quite fun. I'll go with the double Soul Grinder again, since we're sort of just testing out how they feel. Against Tzeentch, your best option always is to go for a Great Unclean One. Kugath is actually... He can be even better here against Tzeentch. I will be running him.
Mostly we'll be spamming Fleshy Abundance here. Sometimes Stream of Corruption, but mostly Fleshy Abundance. And yeah, and a melee defense buff is always very good. We'll cut these just so he's a bit cheaper. And the name of the game once again, Mass Infantry. It's generally the way you want to go with most Nurgle games. Of course, you have the Soul Grinders, so poke they'll be able to do pretty well, but yeah, Slaanesh trades very badly into Exalteds and Plague Bearers in general. We don't even really need Cultists. And then I guess I'll go with maybe Toads, maybe some emergency Toads. One more spawn and then like 2 Nurglings. Yeah, this is more or less it. This is a bit of a basic build, but we have a ton of artillery fire. We should be able to secure 1 point and then just sort of move on out, sally on out and capture the 2nd point. That's more or less the plan. He's playing Slaanesh. Yeah. What's your opinion on vampire counts in domination? I think they'll be very good too. Yeah, because no one really wants to fight Graveguard. It's very similar to how Nurgle plays, I think. Man, I'm so upset about that Cathay game. I had so many misplays that I could have done better. Why didn't he leaves then? He leaves then? Such a weird time. No meme builds for Nurgle, but the Soul Grinders are the meme. The Soul Grinders are the meme. I'm finding that they've sort of been slightly suboptimal in every game. It's good for me to get the practice in though, but I'm not really feeling them. Whew. Yeah. Oh, and it's Khorne. All right. Khorne is one of the matchups where Soul Grinders can actually do well, so I will take them there. What was the build that I had before? I had a pretty nifty build. Yeah, it was a fast unclean one on the 36 speed. We got the Fleshy Abundance, Pestilent Decay. And then we have, yeah, this was the build. This here was the build. This one is quite good against Khorne. Honestly, we don't really need that many Toads against them. Though, I probably want some more spawn. Probably more spawn. Do I need Furies? Not really. Yeah, this feels about right. This feels about right. We just have to make sure that we outgrind them. 1 Plague Bearer, just in case. And I think we're good to go. Playing Nurgle is a meme? Playing Nurgle is not a meme. Nurgle is actually one of the strongest factions in the game. I honestly could have easily won that Cathay game if I didn't waste 3 streams of corruptions on cannons. It would have been so easy to win that game, I swear. Ah, the suffering. The suffering. Not 100% win rate. Painful. On tabletop, Nurgle was about resilience, just grinding down the enemy. Yeah, and that's sort of why the Soul Grinders don't work out as well, because they sort of try to go for value trades rather than grinding. Much against their name. But I feel like in some situations they might have their use. Against ranged factions, though, the Rush is just better. The Rush is just better. Slightly suboptimal is as meme as Nurgle gets at the moment. Yeah, I need to wait until we get slightly more varied infantry pools. But I don't know, it's sort of weird. Domination has a weird thing where builds are actually really important. It's hard to show off your micro in Domination, I find. So anytime I take units out that are even slightly not optimal for builds, you really feel it. Anyone who plays, well, you know, I guess I'm still making misplays, so perhaps I just need to get good. You know what, let's settle for that. Let's just get good. I think the basic unclean one is more meme though for 2k. Basic great unclean one's way faster than Kugath. That's why he sort of does better most of the time. Yeah. Kugath's artillery shot actually isn't that strong. It doesn't do that much damage. I actually vastly prefer this guy instead. Though partially this is preference. I know a lot of very high tier players do like their Kugaths. Nice. So let's see how this match actually plays out. We're seeing a fairly thin Khorne army. This could be a good thing for us because it might mean he has a suboptimal build. Yeah, because usually you want a lot more spawn and exalteds, but we'll see. The greater demon, not the lord. Oh, I see what you mean, Hadrius. Yeah, no, he's a total meme. Give him a Mortis engine, man, at 2,000. Like, come on. Yeah, he's a big old meme indeed. If he had a Mortis engine, he would actually be quite good. He would be very, very good. You know, Mortis engine and make him cost a little bit more. Because right now, he's sort of just a big, slow single entity. Most people would rather have Beasts of Nurgle, sadly. But nice. So in this matchup against Khorne, let's actually go into some details here. Khorne generally trades up into us, but the trading is usually quite even, which is why I feel like the Soul Grinders can sort of give us a slight leg up here, as they can really... Oh, he goes a double Soul Grinder himself. Is this guy watching the stream? So this is very suboptimal for Khorne. These Soul Grinders will not get a lot of damage at all, but it does mean that he has a pure single entity style of play. I basically don't want to start trading early. I'm never going to trade up into these guys. So we're just going to hide in the forest early on instead. Yeah, Alex Karen. Yeah, it was a big L. I made some misplays. It was rough. We totally could have won it too. It was a very close game. Quite fun. Quite fun. There would have been more fun had we won it. Yeah. Yeah, Tamir. Would be funny if the two grinders went up against my two grinders. That would be something. If you look at the stats, I think the Khorne ones are pretty... Yeah, they have plus 13 melee attack. And they have a little bit more weapon strength. But they actually fight fairly evenly. If I heal my guys, they'll win it. But yeah, right now we're just sort of waiting. We're just sort of waiting a bit as Nurgle. The real grind starts now, yeah. Now here's the thing, right? Scarbrand, you know, he's cool and all, but he's not going to stand a match against this Exalted Great Unclean One, even if he does have two Soul Grinders supporting him and two Cultists. Maybe with all of those guys he can, but I'll have my spawn of Nurgle to help me out. I'll also go ahead and grab me some, probably some Festering Stooges, maybe? Yeah, Festering Stooges can do well here. Then maybe some spawn. Yeah, we'll get ready for that when the time comes. Right now it's one of those occasions where healing or summons are designed / baked in expectations. Not really. Healing is sort of really weird. Creative Assembly doesn't really bake in a lot of values. Like, a lot of people say that things are just baked in, but that's not how it works when the unit is actually just really good because of these free abilities. Healing is sort of baked into Nurgle's faction as a whole. So if Nurgle had, let's say, skirmish cavalry, then Nurgle would just be the best faction in the game, bar none. If Nurgle had some fast units. This means that his insane healing potential is just balanced out by the fact that his roster is not fully fleshed out. Which is sort of a weird way to balance things, but in the end it sort of works out because everyone is more or less balanced, I would say. Capture points are going to open up, which means I do want to move out now. We're going to go ahead and go for this capture point. As Nurgle, you usually want to get 1 point early. That's just a generally a safe bet. And here we go. We should be able to secure this point. His Soul Grinder is going to poke away at me, but you'll notice they don't actually do that much damage. And that's just because Soul Grinders, they're just a little bit of a meme. Yeah, look at that. They tickle the spawn. It says 800 missile strength, but they don't really poke for that much. And honestly, I'm not sure why exactly, but such is the way of things. And now I just sort of start pooling on units onto the point. We're totally fine with this fight here. If Scarbrand decides to charge my Soul Grinder, I might even get a nice charge with my Great Unclean One. We'll see. So I'm not going to pull away my Soul Grinder there. And we'll see if we get a nice surround on Scarbrand. Looks like he's even committing to the fight, which could be quite scary for him. So if you ever see a single entity go a little bit too far forwards, you can force path your spawn behind him and just really block him up. There we go. Now he's almost completely surrounded. You have a huge volley of Exalted Plaguebearer fire about to drop in on him. I think Scarbrand's in for a pretty rough time in a second here. There we go. One volley comes out. He's at a quarter HP. And I just need to get my Great Unclean One on top of him. And he should go down pretty quickly after that, I would say. Nice. Pretty good initial start to the battle, I would say. especially with how much damage we've dealt to Scarbrand. Of course, the trading is actually fairly even for us right now, but we have to remember Nurgle is the king of healing. All the damage that he's dealt to us, we're about to completely negate it here with this heal. And this is going to be a pretty nice trade for us. There we go. Fleshy abundance on everybody here. Yes, okay, there we go. It did actually go off. Whew. I thought it didn't go off for a second. And that's going to be picking up everybody. I'm going to wait for these halberds to show up before I do a big stream of corruption there. And then, now that we're actually starting to trade up, I can worry. Oh, I misclicked again. I hate the laggy misclick so much. But anyways, like I said, now that we're trading up, I can start worrying about taking some faster units to hold points. Man, these streams of corruption, man, I've been really goofing with them, haven't I? Rough times. But anyways, we'll have another one in 20 seconds. That'll kill the infantry. Though, if I miss another one, that is actually going to hurt us quite a bit. Of course, a Mortis engine will still do just fine, though. The GUOs? What's a GUO? What's a GUO? What's being talked about? I have no idea. There we go. Halberds are routed off. Very good. And now it's Scarbrand against a Great Unclean One. You'll notice he's not going to trade too well, especially once we get another fleshy abundance going there. And now I can sort of start considering stealing the other points, so we're definitely in no big rush. Great Unclean Ones? Ah, I see. Yeah, no, they're insanely strong. Look at this. He's been fighting Scarbrand this entire time, and he's starting to trade up now. Not to mention, I can get another fleshy abundance in but a few seconds. About 10 seconds before the next fleshy abundance, and that's basically going to be the end of him here. I don't see really what he can do against another overcast fleshy abundance, because it's going to heal everything up to more or less max at this point. Nice. Of course, he does have fire damage, so that will be hurting me a little bit here. But aside from that, we're trading up into Scarbrand now, and I can start pooling in the Forsaken and a couple Nurglings too, just to steal this point. We'll get it started early, just so that we're not taking any risks here. As for my Soul Grinders, they're sort of just stuck up in melee. They're much better against the more conventional mass infantry style of Khorne, but this sort of works out well too. And poor Scarbrand, brought down to his knees by a generic Great Unclean One. Brutal, guys. Absolutely brutal. Yeah, we're back on Twitch, Shibu. That's right. We're back. I'm also on YouTube right now too, though. But yeah. Man, look at this. Have we lost a single unit here? I think we might have actually not lost any units. Brutality. Brutality for our poor Khorne player here. The Great Unclean One with the slow grind. I'm sure he has thousands of gold value. Only 2,000, actually lower than I would have thought. And this is also why you don't go for melee armored infantry. Stream of Corruption is going to melt their faces off. There we go. Already down to half HP and a Terror route. About 300 gold value from that Stream of Corruption. Devastating. Absolutely devastating. And now that we have a huge value lead, I can more or less capture the points. You'll notice the value trading. It says we're even, but if you look at my army, I have my legendary lord. I have tons of elite infantry still hanging around. I have my soul grinders, and this is the power of Nurgle. His healing is immense, and it will never be stopped. Yeah, not even close, man. It's not even close. Great Unclean Ones are a menace, man. And even with the fire damage, he almost heal caps himself. It's crazy. It's crazy. Ooh, nice. We have some Flesh Hounds coming in. Now, this is the one reason why I take Forsaken. I'm going to sub them out for my Nurglings, and you're going to see the damage on the Flesh Hounds. Huge. Almost a quarter of their HP killed in an instant. Forsaken are definitely the way to go if you want to kill Flesh Hounds. This was a tip I got from another player early on. It's really good. It's really, really good Forsaken against Flesh Hounds. So if you ever want to steal a point from Khorne, since Flesh Hounds are sort of their only way to reinforce quickly, Forsaken are the way to go. In this case, they're a little bit beat up, so they might still lose here, but they'll trade pretty evenly at the very least. Hashtag buff Scarbrand. I'd be down. Scarbrand could actually use some buffs. Though many people would not believe it. And actually, he's not the worst lord in the world. Like, he's actually quite decent. It's just that He's not the most optimal guy, sadly. But nice, there we go. We managed to take back this point in fairly quick speed. Over here in the distance, it looks like things are going well. He's out of units and GG. A pretty good victory. Pretty good victory. 5 wins, baby. Scarbrand needs wings. But that's so non-lore accurate. If you look at the Soul Grinders, they didn't really perform too well in melee, even though they got tons of heals. And over here, these poor guys, not too much value either. And thank you, Shiva, for becoming a member. Thank you very much. Now, if only I could make it so that my notifications actually show things properly. I don't know why it's actually skipping on that. It really shouldn't. Let's see. Is there a way to... settings, appearance... Let's see, compact mode. Do I have to turn off compact mode? Let's try this. Let's try this a little bit. Okay. I might be able to see you guys donate and such now, but I'm not entirely sure. I'll keep an eye on it. Oh, whoops. Whoops, it's the same guy. Nurgle. There we go. He's Khorne again. Now, I'm going to go for... I still want to try out the Soul Grinders, because I think this is the one matchup where they can actually do well. Nice. I'm going to cut the Lord. Go ahead and take the Great Exalted Unclean one. This is very meta. Nice. And then... same build as before, essentially. Exalted, spawn. Chevron the spawn. The one Nurgling. The couple Plague Toads. Healthier amount of Forsaken. You guys will notice Nurgle plays basically the same between every single match. Unfortunately, he's a little bit boring on that front, but still a very strong faction. Very heavily reliant on timings, which I think make him a very interesting faction, at least. Nice, this'll do. This'll do. Oh. Oh, really butchered your name again? What? It's not Shibu? It's not Shibu Inu? Oh, Greenskins? Greenskins should be pretty good, but I think they might route a bit too often. Hey, Doctor, hello. Well played on the Cathay win. I will say, I wanna eventually get a rematch there, because I think that game was far too close. But yeah, honestly, I feel like they should just give cavalry infantry capture weight. That's sort of my idea. The alternative is like if they remove capture weight from a lot of units, but I think that just makes things favor the attacker even more, which is a bit of a problem. Yeah, you finally got your revenge though. I like it. I like it. A bit of a comeback. Well played though. Well played. All right. Now we're up against Khorne. Against Khorne, the usual drill is that you want to hold 1 point. In this case, I'm going to hold the middle point because it means I can easily move to different sections. He has his double soul grinder again though instead of infantry. It's going to be better against my grinders, but I think my opponent's going to have a pretty rough time. Can I get him to ×4 speed? Let's see. Because the beginning of this match is going to have nothing going on, guys. Butchered your real name, which popped up with the member notification. Oh, I see. Whoopsies. Whoopsies, my bad. My bad. Alright, now the soul grind is going to be moving on up. I guess I'll pull up with my exalted plague bearers so that I can get some shots in. But like there's not really too much I need to do here. And in the meantime, we can just start summoning in the units. That'll be good. So that's going to be my exalted plague bearers. Let's see, what was your name? It was small. I can't reread it now. And for whatever reason, my stream settings is just not popping up the notifications. I'll need to find a way to fix that. You know what? Let's get a note. Let's write down some notes while we wait for that. Much like old school campaign load times. You gotta find something else to do while you play Warhammer. Let's see here. Donation notifications fixed. There we go. All good. Where were we? Yeah, he's poking away with the soul grinders. They're not going to do that much damage here. Like by the end of it, they'll probably, you know, they might kill a decent amount of plague bearers, but like it's not too worrisome. You know, Scarbrand gets a good attack. I'll give it to him. I'll give it to him. I'm still not too worried though. I do want to pull these guys back now so that I can heal my spawn instead of my infantry. Spreading out your damage as Nurgle is generally a good idea. Yeah, he's not taking the ×4 speed, sadly. Times 4 speed is basically Nurgle moving at normal speed. It's true. Alright, so the capture point's going to unlock in a second. I have a pretty superior melee force, so I'm not too worried about that. And then we can just sort of sally onto the point and we'll be just fine. Scarbrand's probably going to get another nice breath attack here. I like it. I like it. Overall, it's pretty good plays. The question is, can he shove me off the capture point? He's not even capturing points right now, which I think is hilarious. Maybe we even wait a little bit. Though I think Khorne is actually advantaged the longer we wait, and I do want to steal a point early on. Nice, so let's see how this goes. I got a nice early charge on that Soul Grinder. Pretty good damage at the start. And I'm gonna fight these cultists actually, as they are fairly exposed, and that should get me good value. A good early game value start. I wonder too how well the army mechanics will do in domination, like the Dark Elves' murderous prowess. I think they'll both sort of still be janky. I don't think they'll really be super duper happy about their passives regardless, sadly. But all right, we're on the capture point now. I got my Great Unclean One. He has some really nice capture weight. And since he's sort of going for this skirmish style of Khorne play, I do want to be a little bit careful here. Making sure that none of my units actually get caught out in the open. If I can sort of manage that, though, I'll be just fine. There we go. First capture point is taken, which means I can actually pull back and reinforce this area. No point leaving a ton of guys separated out in the distance here. And even though he is trading up, I think I'll be fine once the Soul Grinders actually get in action. Most attractive unit, and why is it Nurglings? Ooh, man, Nurglings are pretty great. They're definitely up there, but I don't know. I'd have to really consider which ones I prefer more. Okay, interesting. So we're seeing a summon on my blob here now. My Great Unclean One's a little bit blocked up by my Soul Grinders. These darn Soul Grinders being so useless. Over here, he's going to go for some more capture points again. Generally, pretty good play. Pretty good play, but Scarbrand's getting a whooping, I will say. These Soul Grinders, they do have speed, you know, and if they can keep it up, maybe they will actually kill off Scarbrand here. And we might even get a pretty nasty surround here onto my opponent. That would be devastating for him. So we'll see how that goes. As for the capture points, he's actually ignoring them. It looks like he wants to go for potentially maybe some comeback plays. Not the worst idea ever. Actually, it will be quite good if I don't steal points in a decent amount of time. But I think the problem right now is that Scarbrand's taken a pretty big beating. And he sort of needs them to actually have a lot of mobility and a lot of pressure on my army. So I'd be a little bit worried if I was him. But we'll see. He is trading pretty impressively now. Yeah, Scarbrand really needs to run, but he's getting blocked up by my spawn. This is one of the reasons why spawn are such an amazing tool here. And I think he's basically down. Let's try and get cute, actually. I want to grab one of my Soul Grinders, since they're a little bit speedy to chase him down. One of them, they get caught up on one unit of infantry. That's the saddest thing I've ever seen for a Soul Grinder. But sure, it's fine. There we go. As for my artillery shots, I can finally start shooting. Very nice. And I can sort of just keep massing infantry. If he wants to fight a big fight here, eternally, I'm sort of okay with that, especially since he hasn't captured too many of the points yet, which is very good. Oh man, and the death heads. The death heads on that Soul Grinder are just devastating, man. Yeah, he's leaning hard into the Khorne roleplay. Lots of Soul Grinders. He's got the Scarbrand going. It's great. Now, oftentimes, Nurgle will take a long time to actually kill off infantry. And this is one of the reasons why Nurgle can sometimes suffer against armies like Khorne. Oh, look at that. He's pulling his halberds to try and chase the Soul Grinders. That's actually quite good for him. But you do run into the problem where if we do ever need to clear units quickly, we do have the mighty Stream of Corruption. And I think that should be able to to work out well for us. As for Scarbrand, we'll never catch him with the Great Unclean One, but we will catch him, funnily enough, with the Soul Grinders. Finally finding a pretty good use for them. I think that's going to be helping us out a lot. And yeah, I think we just keep spamming out the Forsaken. They're gonna do really well at actually getting to places that we need them to. Nice retreat from my opponent with those guys. And the question is whether or not these guys actually beat Scarbrand. We've seen already that Scarbrand isn't he's not the tankiest fellow ever. He's not going to trade supremely well. But sadly the Soul Grinders are worse. Unfortunate. The poor Soul Grinders are going to get wrecked. And instead, we're just going to have to settle for them trading into Scarbrand. It's not the best case scenario, but killing off Scarbrand is definitely still a win for us, so I will go for that. Nice. And he's getting very low now. We've retaken the point, which is very good. And I really want to blob up for another huge heal, but my opponent's done a good job at sort of splitting me off into separate directions. We'll see how well, we'll see how this plays out, because now I won't be able to get nearly as efficient trades against them. Scarbrand 2, cycle charging on the Soul Grinder. He's actually doing it. He's actually killing the Soul Grinder. Good for him. That's actually, that's quite scary, I must say. And I think I just have to settle for less and just heal only this blob. Pretty unfortunate, but we'll be just fine here. His spawn are going to be maneuvering around, but I will be able to pick a good fight with them. And at this point, I guess I should start worrying about these capture points a little bit more. Here we go. Nasty heal. Gonna be helping those guys a lot. Scarbrand does unfortunately fall. Yes, served well, Scarbrand, but not well enough. And I think we should be starting to pull a lead now. Nice. Now all we have to do is secure points. And this is always sort of the sketchiest part of a Nurgle game. It can be very difficult to secure points if your opponent plays things correctly. In this case, though, I think the loss of his Lord is going to hurt him a little bit too much here. Over here, you can see how effective those Fleshy Abundances are. We heal capped a good number of our units here. Nice. The Chaos Spawn route off. That's this point secured. Now it's just the top point. And because the only unit that he can summon that can deal with this quickly is his Flesh Hounds, if we get a Nurgling and a normal Forsaken, that should be more than enough to beat any Flesh Hound or Infantry summon. And we should be able to steal this point rather easily. GG! Well played to my opponent. I think he did pretty well. I think he should probably cut the Soul Grinders, as cool as they are. I don't think they're the best unit for the job here, sadly. And as for his Scarbrand, I would say he definitely has to make sure that that guy stays a little bit more safe. Because Scarbrand, this is the second time he's died, which is pretty rough. Pretty rough. You definitely don't want to be losing him, as all of your infantry is just going to be suffering on the leadership department. Yeah, Nurgle. Nurgle is one of the best factions in the game. Fat. I'll call you Fat Chalk. Jeez, what a name. But yeah, Nurgle's one of the best factions in the game. Only really weaker than Khorne, I would say. But it requires a very specific playstyle. I recommend you check out my other Nurgle win farming stream if you want to get a good sense of how to get good Nurgle wins. But in general, all you have to do is wait for your engagement and then use your superior capture weight to win battles. And in this case, it's going to be a pretty clean victory. We are even trading up here, which is really bad for my opponent, because it means that we have healing on top. And you can see just a huge army difference between us. I have basically a full size and capable army, and he has like a single halberd. Brutal. What's your opinion on Toads? Toads are awesome for stealing points in the late game. They're not really good for trading up unless it's very specifically against undefended bloodletters. Otherwise, you generally save them for the late game when you want to sell points, and otherwise leave them for later. Nurgle, you much rather prefer summoning infantry instead. Yeah, mobility. They got that sweet mobility. But yeah, you can see here, they're even dying to the Soul Grinder. The Soul Grinder's not even great. And don't overestimate their anti-infantry. It'll help a little bit, but it's not actually gonna win you any battles. Their anti-infantry's sort of janky, so something to keep an eye on here. Excuse me, but that's gonna be the win. That's gonna be the win. I don't think he can do much else. GG, well played to Pavlov's dog. I think it was a good match, good sir. But yeah, I guess we just sort of keep up with chat now. How's it going, guys? Have you guys caught up with the news? Have you seen the wonderful news for multiplayer? Or not multiplayer, the wonderful news regarding the map, the new campaign map that's gonna be coming on in for Immortal Empires. It looks glorious, guys. I'm very excited to see what comes of that. Seems like toads are just fast reinforcements. Yes and no. Spawn are actually, if you want fast reinforcements that will win a fight, you go for spawn. If you want fast reinforcements that are cheap, you go for toads. The downsides of them being cheap is that they can't really fight very well, and that's generally the balancing act that you have to go for. Can someone link? I'll see. Let's see if I grab this, and then I go onto the stream. You guys can find the link. Perfect timing too, because that is the end of today's stream. We finished with a good old 6-1 winning streak, or a 6-1 victory ratio, losing only to Doctor's Cathay. Very nicely played by him. Very fun game too. And yeah, we'll be streaming tomorrow. I think tomorrow's a Wednesday, right? So Flying Taco, yep, it's going to be the head-to-head stream. Continuing once again. Should be pretty good. I hope you guys had a wonderful day. There's the link to the blog if you guys want to check it out. And I think that's basically it. Have a wonderful day, guys. Have a wonderful day. I think, yeah, there's nothing else I need to say. Yeah.